Good morning, everyone. Sri Lankan Sammy, welcome to the show. I am so happy that you are here. Let's just check. And make sure the sound is on. Sound is on. Music is on. Chat is on. All right, look at this. Welcome to the day. I am Sri Lankan Sammy, retired with mom and dad. I am a Canadian citizen, Sri Lankan citizen living in Sri Lanka, semi-retired with my senior mom and dad. Today is our midweek podcast. I don't know why I call this one the midweek podcast and the Sunday fun day different. I don't know why I do it. Just to differentiate, I guess, but they're the same format. I am a small YouTuber just looking to have some fun, and I hope you can join me for the ride. Please comment, like, and subscribe. That so much helps the channel. And if you could just comment, even if you're watching after the fact, I would truly love it. It helps the channel get out there. Today, we're going to talk about how to keep sane. How do you keep sane? We live in a world that is so stressful, so crazy. Just look at what's happening in the world right now. How can you survive that? Like, how do people rationalize what we do every single day? I don't know. Do I have the answer? Absolutely not. I'm going to tell you what I do, okay? What do I do? Now, I'm 56. I'm not married. I have no kids. I have zero debt. And I am healthy. I have one problem, is that two problems. I am bored out of my mind, and I'm a little lonely, a little bit. Not a lot, because I'm kind of enjoy the peace and tranquility of being alone. I like it. And that's strange considering that I am a social person. But it's weird. I'm social to the point where I like to be in control, not to be in a crowd. I hate being in crowds. So a little bit about my past. I grew up in Canada. I moved to Korea about 18 years ago, this month, 18 years ago. And about 3 years ago, I moved back to Sri Lanka. I'm a Canadian Sri Lankan citizen. So when I was in Canada, I was a salesman. So I'm always talking to people, always in the public eye, right? I'm constantly meeting new people. I have to be outgoing. I mean, you guys follow my channel, you know. And if you're online right now, please comment, say hi, okay? Say hi, let me know what's going on. So I was a very social person as a young person. In high school, in my early life, I was in the club business. In high school, I was in the social committee. I started the ski club, one of the most successful, profitable clubs in my school's history. Throughout my youth, I was in the public eye. Then I became a salesman. Then I moved to Korea, and I continued that club business style. And I used to be on the radio in Canada, even in Korea. I was on TV. I was on the internet before YouTube, all of that stuff, you know. And I was on the radio. I was on Much Music, which is the Canadian version of MTV. I was on so many music-related TV shows back in Canada. I was on the radio and television in Korea. And I ran one of the biggest nightclubs in Korea. So I was very well known, very popular, very well respected, sort of say. Just a side story, one of the things I loved about Korea, and just going on a tangent here, is that it is a patriarchal society. I don't agree with that. I don't disagree with that. It's their country. It's not mine. And this is one of the things I ran into with some of the not expats, some of the people who I ran into, like teachers. Especially, I'm not going to blame Americans, but if she was American, and is constantly complaining about the cultural differences and how it's not right. And I said, well, it's their country. It's not for you to change. You can comment, but you are a guest in this country. That's what it says on your visa. On your visa, it says, first line, you are a guest in this country. Follow the law. You are banned from protesting. You are banned by law from civil disobedience. And if you commit a crime, any crime, you can be and will be deported and banned from entering the country because you are a guest. Now, does that mean you're not entitled to your opinion? Absolutely not, but you keep it to yourself. You don't voice your opinion. Technically that's against the law in Korea. There's no freedom of speech in Korea. There isn't. They have very strict libel and slander. In Korea, if you slander someone, even if it's true, you can go to jail. So if you steal from me and you get convicted and go to jail, and then I tell people that you are a criminal, okay? Now, there's a line, but it's very arbitrary. It's up to the judge to decide. I can post it online. I can say it publicly. But if I go out and I follow you around with a sign or I shout it out like all day long from behind you, I can go to jail for that because that is disrespecting your honor. The information is public. People can search it, but to disrespect someone, their honor, is a crime. When it that's not the crime, but doing the action of defaming them or slandering them, even though it's true, it's very strange law. People have gone to jail for that. I mean, in Thailand, if you say something negative about the king, you go to jail for years. Come on, there's no freedom of speech. And freedom of speech is not a freedom in America. It's that you have the freedom to speak your mind in a public place and the government cannot stop you. But if you go into a private place, like a business, they can stop you from talking, from saying whatever you want. You don't have freedom of speech in private places. And there's a limit to your freedom of speech. It's only in public. And then in there also you have limits. So people get confused with their freedoms, especially with undereducated people who go abroad and believe that all countries have the same laws. So this person would comment on the patriarchal society because I was treated differently than they were as a teacher in a school, not a public school, a private school. I was treated different. Number one, because I'm not on a visa. I was a permanent resident. It's still a visa, but it's much different. So a teacher's visa is very strict, very limiting, and it's tied to the school. The school owns you. For example, you can't leave the job to go to another job unless the school signs a letter of release, and they don't have to do that. They can say no, and you have to leave the country because you cannot switch jobs without a letter of resignation. A letter of release. A letter of release. There are ways, but it's very expensive and very difficult because you have to go through a lawyer. It's not worth it for someone who's coming all the way over to South Korea to work in a school. It's generally people who don't have a lot of money or the resources to hire a lawyer. But it's a patriarchal society. So, for example, I was at the time, I'm going to say 48-ish, 49-ish. And I was a teacher, kindergarten teacher. I loved it. It was so easy because you just have fun with the kids. And the kids learn because the kids loved me. I actually got told by my boss not to go into other classrooms and interact with the kids because the kids like me more than their teacher, and the parents were complaining. So that, not complaining, they were saying, oh, why is my child's teacher not like Sam teacher? So I was causing problems in the company. So they said, just don't talk to the other kids. And then the boss, the owner, the owner and the principal would treat me with respect. And they would speak to me in Korean because I spoke Korean. And the owner's English was not that great. The principal, yes, was mediocre. But everybody knew my age. Well, the employees there, not necessarily the foreign teachers, but they knew. They eventually knew, and they also knew my weekend job at the club. You know, they knew who I was because I was pretty infamous. Now, my Korean employers didn't know. Maybe they eventually found out, but the parents didn't know. I don't think they Googled my name. And anyway, my online persona name was different than my school name, and nobody knows my last name. So yeah, I'm just Sam teacher. So yeah, it's patriarchal, and I loved it because I was treated with respect. Like the principal would bow to me. I kept saying, please don't do that in front of the other teachers because it's causing problems. Right. And it's a habit respect thing because number one, I'm a man. Number two, my age, I'm older than everybody, even the owner. And I was the only male in the whole school. Whole school, it was all females. And I had been there for like 2 years. So it was a great job. I missed that job. It was so easy and so much money. Loved it. And at the club, depending on the weather or whatever, I would have a vehicle. So I would come in a van, company, not company van, but they had an account with a luxury service. So the service we would use for like our VIPs, if they had drank too much, we wouldn't let them drive home. We would hire the service. The service would come and pick them up. 2 drivers, one would drive their car home and one would drive them in the van. So it's a service we offered at the club for our VIP customers. And so part of that service, I get to use it as well, right? So depending on the weather or whatever, I would use the service. Now, the service is you could see it's our service because number one, it has our branding on the side with a sticker, a magnetic sticker, and the company logo. So the beginning of the night, like let's say the club opens at 10, I show up around 11. Sometimes I show up at 10:30, but anyways, the club is open. And what happens is at the beginning of the night, before the club opens, half the staff are outside getting ready, the security staff, the rest are downstairs having a meeting. Like the way it works is, I don't know, I've never been there that early, but I was once or twice, but all the staff would be downstairs, they'd have their meeting, and then half would go outside, the rest would like be downstairs getting ready at their post. But because the way the club was situated is that the back of the club was not opened until later on, and the club had this wall that would progressively get moved to the back so that the club would become bigger. Because when you walk into a place and you're the first person there, it's empty. But if the room is small, it feels bigger. It was a psychological thing. Anyway, so a lot of the security was outside, right? So when I show up, 80% of the security is outside. So they're all bowing. First of all, they see the van and they know it's a VIP. They don't know who's inside. So they all stand from whatever they're doing. If they're leaning or sitting, they all stand, they all turn, they all look. It could be the owner, although the owner usually doesn't come until later in the evening. Or it could be a VIP. They don't know, but they see, the door opens, they see me. I come out, all bowing. Now, I'm a non-Korean. And so the cute thing was, or the like, the showy offy thing was that we're in the middle of the club district, right? And everybody sees that. Everybody who's around sees this and it's like, who the heck is this guy? I mean, the people who work there know who I am. But others don't. Like I remember, well, I'm getting off topic again today. I do that a lot. But we have a lot of time to talk today, so don't worry about it. We'll get to the stories. Excuse me. I remember one time, it was after the club closed because of COVID. No. The club closed in 2019 summer. We had 6 months before COVID started. 6 to 8 months. So in that time, I was just chilling out. I hadn't started at a new venue yet. I started in a new venue. I had about 3 or 4 months break to start at a new venue. So in that time, I went out on a date with this girl I knew in Gangnam. After dinner, I said, let's go for drinks. Oh no, this was a year later. Yeah, because it was COVID time. Yeah, we had QR codes and everything like that. So it was about a year or two after COVID. And we had QR codes and you had to show vaccine passport. And you had to wear a mask and all of that wonderful stuff. But still, we went out and she said, yeah, okay, let's go. And I said, okay, we'll go to Itaewon and have drinks with some friends. So, of course, I called the car service I have. I still have the car service. And they show up. Now, she's like, first of all, she doesn't know who I am. She knows me, but she doesn't know my past. Oh, Thailand. I love my little smelly sticks. She didn't know my past. She thought I was just an entrepreneur, right? I told her I was a consultant for some big Korean companies. And so we went out for dinner. We went out, so call the service. The service shows up like that. So first of all, she's like, oh, you have a driver? I go, no, it's just a private account I have. Because getting a taxi in Gangnam is not easy. Getting a luxury SUV to pick you up. And the way the company works is they have the driver and the valet. So the driver doesn't get out, the valet gets out and opens the doors. So there's two guys in the front, which is really cool. It's an executive service. It's all done for like VIPs and executives. So we get to Itaewon, the car door opens and everybody's like, first of all, it's a big SUV. I don't know what kind of SUV it was, like a Cadillac or Range Rover or something. Get out. The valet opens the door. She gets out. I get out. I slide over and get out the same door. We go. So I've already texted the manager that I'm coming. So we go to this one place. We walk right past the line. No COVID ID, no QR code, nothing. Just walk straight in, get a table. People come up and say hi. She's like kind of wondering. She didn't say anything. I could see the look on her face. It's just killing me for today for some reason. It's stiff. I'm numb. I can't wait to go to the doctor tomorrow and get my diagnosis. Ugh. For my neck. Anyway, so we're in there. My friends show up. They get in. We have some drinks. Then they want to go to a different place. I text somebody else. We go to a different place. As we're walking, a couple people walk up to me and say hi and asking me where I'm going to be working and blah, blah, blah. She's like asking me, who are they? I said, I don't know. People who know me. I don't know who they are. I didn't. I recognized them as like club friends, but didn't remember who they were. So go to the second place and I asked the man, again, no lineup, no cover, no ID, walk straight in, ask the manager for a table. He's like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Give me a minute. They clear off a table for me. They kick somebody out, put me in the table. People are watching because I'm there with 4 girls. While we're sitting there, other people show up and say hi. That obviously the general manager comes over and he says hi. I don't stand. So these Koreans are coming over and bowing to me, which was like normal. And so finally she asks who I am. She said, "Are you like some kind of gangster or something?" And it's funny because like when I was in the clubs, when I first started in the clubs, not at B1, but when I first started promoting, I promoted at this club called Rococo, which was one of the bigger clubs at the time, but it was on the edge of Itaewon. And those of you who know Itaewon, Rococo was at the IP Boutique Hotel in Hangangjin, across from the Cheil building. And it was about a 5-10 minute walk from Itaewon. And it was huge. And they had music rooms in the back, karaoke rooms, private rooms, huge dance floor. I promoted a couple parties there. But at like 3 or 4 a.m. is when the gangsters would all show up. And my partner at that time, Hanjin, he was a character. He knew everybody. He was my age or slightly older, but he was the king of Itaewon before me. He knew everybody. So he introduced me, and of course I speak Korean. And this was like maybe a year after I landed in Korea. So he's introducing me to these guys, and I'm being funny and talking in Korean, and they love it. First of all, they love the fact that I'm old. They love the fact that I'm Korean, speak Korean, and that I'm a foreigner. So it was like, I was like a pet, but with affection, like respect. And one of those guys is still a friend of mine today. Now, he wasn't a gangster, but he was associated with them. Gangsters in Korea are different than what we know gangsters to be here. They're not violent. Well, yeah, they are. I won't get into those stories. But yeah, it was the respect level that I got in that country. My gosh, it was so much fun. I missed that. But let's get back to the story today. How to stay sane. Well, I've talked about this many times. And what brings you stress in your life today? There's 3 or 4 things. Number 1 is relationships. Relationships with family or loved ones, partners, whatever you want to call it, even friends, cause stress. Friends, a little bit less, depending on how much time you spend with them. Loved ones, like mom and dad, oh my God, the stress level is a lot. I have to control it. That's why I go away, just to get away from them. No, it's true. Like when you're living with someone, the little things get on your nerves. Like after staying with Lady Sarah for a week, I want to rip her face off. I love her to death. I'm sorry, I want to say death. I love her to the ends of the world. There's no woman I love more than her, and never will. Never have, never will. You could send me the greatest woman in the world. Not going to happen. I've told her that before, and she doesn't understand it. She says she understands it, but she says like because she's younger, she says she doesn't understand why I don't find someone like her. I said, well, because I've already found you. I don't need to find somebody else. I'm happy with what I have with you. Because anything more, and I would want to kill you. I know where that line is between friendship and marriage, right? The stress level just goes exponential. So stress in relationships causes you drama in your life. People say, yeah, but don't you want somebody to love and care for you? And it's like, well, I can hire a nurse to care for me when I'm old. I can hire someone to take care of me. I have friends. I have so many friends. I don't need more friends. Et cetera, et cetera. Don't need that crap in my life. Number 2, health. If you are unhealthy, it causes stress because it leads into the next thing, which is money. But your health causes you stress. If you're not healthy, you're not healthy. It will add to your stress level. Third thing is money. If you have debt, if you're carrying debt, if you're working and stressing out over money, that's not good. Every day I look at my account and I see that number just going like this. And every day I get, like today, I am so excited to log into, I'm doing it now, to log into my stock account and see how much money I made today doing nothing. 1.27%, and the day is only 1.5 hours. My God. Almost almost $400 in 90 minutes. Now, I could lose it all. I mean, my stock, my God, how is it still going up? My portfolio has a 58.97% return. Thank you, JB Financials. These guys are incredible, man. They made the recommendations. Obviously, I researched their recommendations on the P to E earnings ratio and their dividend stock. So I've been paid dividends on top of this 59%. Shazeen, brother, how are you? Kahomada. Happy Poya. Yesterday was Posan Full Moon Poya Day. I hope you had a good Poya Day. But money is so important. If you don't have it or you spent too much, that is the biggest stressor in life. And I'm going to give you, Shaseen, you're young, so I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Don't save money, okay? That's the wrong mentality. The right mentality is spend less. If you spend less, you end up having more. So, keep spending less. And it's true. Health is the key to life. If you're not healthy, you can't do anything. You can't work. You can't enjoy. I mean, that's true. Like, if I can't travel, what's the use of living? If I'm bedridden, what's the use? There's just no point. Darren, welcome to the show. And Darren, as usual, always the bearer of clarity. But I'm telling you this, brother, you told me this when I invested 10 months ago to be careful. And in 10 months, it's never gone down. So even if it goes down 50%, I'll still be up 10%. Okay? Even if the market crashes, and if the market crashes 50%, we have bigger problems than this stock market. So I'm playing with their money now, So it's like going to the casino and winning, taking your profits, putting them in your pocket and playing with their money. I'm playing with their money now. I have been paid out in dividends. Okay? I have made my money and I'm going to keep it here for the long term. My gold stocks are up. Everything is up. And like I said, even if there is a 50% drop in my portfolio, I'm still up 10%. I'm still up 10%. So if it crashes 50%, there is a huge, much bigger issue than my money in the stock market. Okay, the economy is in serious problems. Yeah. Sorry, Shizan, let me be very clear. I'm talking about investing and saving. When I mean saving, I mean investing. I mean investing smart. Like at your age, what you should do is risk a little bit more. So in stocks, like funds that have a higher risk but return better over 40 years. Because over 40 years, you're going to make money. Okay? At my age or older, people in their 40s or 50s, you should be a little bit more conservative. So guaranteed income, like fixed deposits, those kinds of things. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. This is just like, sound advice. When you're younger, you have longer term to risk. When you're older, you have shorter term to risk. Okay? So you have to go to a financial advisor. But what I'm saying is not saving. What I'm saying is spending less. And here's the trick that people don't think. They get into trouble early on by spending too much. And then they get into debt. And they can't get out of debt. Something happens, an emergency, a financial crisis, whatever. If you can be out of debt when you are young, you can take the money that is left over and invest that. People say, oh, okay, I'm going to save $200 and spend the rest. No. Spend nothing and save it all. Okay? And then treat yourself. Don't live like a pauper for 20 years. No. Treat yourself once in a while, not every day. I'm watching this guy, Caleb Hunter. You guys got to check this guy out. He's hilarious because he brings people onto his show, into his podcast, and he berates them for an hour because they're morons. These people think that they are smarter than the average bear, and they're $100,000 in debt, but yet they're buying DoorDash every single day. They have an F-150 pickup truck, and they live in the city. Or they're buying the stupidest things online. So he calls them out, and it's just a slap in the face to people, a wake-up call to people. So my point is this, is that if you can stay out of debt and put 50% of what you make or more into savings, and those savings are whatever you want it to be. I'm not talking about investing. I'm talking about have this cash. Cash is power. I am going to the bank tomorrow to see what I can do to get a loan against my investments as collateral so that I can invest more. Now, according to the information that I'm getting, I can get a loan for 1 year, interest-free. It's a 3-year loan. The first year is interest-free. And if I pay it off in the first year of the 3-year loan, I only pay an admin fee, like $100. And what's in it for the bank? Well, they assume that you're not going to pay it off in the first year, and that the interest rate is a little tiny bit higher on the second and third year than the average loan interest rate. So I'm looking into it, because if I take that, it is 0%, and I can invest that at 10%, make 10% a year. I have the cash on hand to pay that back in 1 year. And it's free money. So, honestly, if my banking stock and my oil stock drops 50%, there's some serious problems going on, not 90%. And Darren, you're always the arbiter of clear-headedness, but I've done my research. And it's not gambling. I'm investing in guaranteed investments. Guaranteed. It's guaranteed. So I'm taking it from one bank and I'm investing it in another finance company that's paying much higher interest rate. So if I can get 0% for 1 year, it's yeah, there is such a thing as free money. I got it. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Dividends are free money. My money's sitting in the bank. It's free. I have a huge tranche of money sitting in an account with an investment company that was supposed to do an IPO. The IPO has failed. The money's sitting there. They keep asking me every couple months, do you want the money back? And I'm said, no, let's wait for the IPO. They said, we don't know when it's going to happen. I said, it's okay. You're paying me 11.75% interest. Go ahead. That's better than what the bank is paying me. And it's guaranteed. That's free money. That money is either sitting in the bank at 8.75% to 10% for 5 years, or it's sitting at this finance company at 10 points, 11 point whatever for 1 year. Yeah, everyone can. Everyone can. But everyone also can become rich. So who's right and who's wrong? And absolutely agree. The higher the return, the higher the risk. Absolutely. I am not risk averse. That's why I'm taking the gambles. That's why. You have a family, you have a business, you have a home, you have kids, you have a wife. Lovely wife, though. Thank you. Please tell her I say hello. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. I have a brand new restaurant I want to go check out with you guys when you come in Colombo. We're going to go check it out. Good steaks. I hope you like steaks. I am not risk averse. So someone like Shahan, who is, Shazeen, who is young and making his money and maybe thinking of starting a family, he should be risk averse because he has less money. Okay. He has less money to invest. So his risk is much, what's the word? What's the right word? His reward is less. But in the long term, the reward is longer. In the short term, it's not. So in my case, when I was younger, I went for the high risk, high return. And that was my mistake. I lost money in 1996 and then again in 2007. But this time around in Sri Lanka, I was liquid. So I was able to leverage the cash I had, the large amount of cash, into investments. It's not small arbitrage. I'm gonna make. What am I gonna make on the amount of money that I put in? 11%. No, more than 11. I think it's 11.75 or 12% in 1 year. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And I only have to lock in for 1 year in the finance company. So at the end of the year, I take that money, the profit. I already have the cash to pay out the loan anyway, but the cash is sitting in another term deposit. So I don't have a lot of liquid cash, but I have cash sitting all over the place. Term deposits, all ending at different times, so that if I need cash, it's coming due next month anyways. That's guaranteed by the bank. Well, there's no guarantee, brother. Listen, there's no guarantee in life. I could die tomorrow, and all of this work is for nothing. I could die of an aneurysm. Nobody knows. But we have to base our life on some kind of faith, some kind of trust, and here's the risk, right? That's why there's a reward. Okay, risk reward. Okay? There's no guarantee of anything in life. Absolutely none. Okay. Okay, so the finance company has promised in a contract to pay me X amount of dollars in 1 year. And in the last 3 years, not one person has reneged on their guarantee. So there's no guarantee in life, brother. I'm not saying anything. Okay. So well, I'm gonna agree to disagree with you. Okay. So in the last 3 years, every investment and every item that I have moved forward with has moved forward in the direction that I've wanted it to. So I guess I'm wrong. And it could change tomorrow, right? You could be right, I could be wrong. But right now, I'm right. And you're probably not wrong either, okay? So that's why I have protections in place, and that's why. So I've not put all my eggs in one basket. I have tranches in different term deposits ending at different times. So every 3 months, I have money coming due, which I can then go reinvest. So for example, if I had an emergency and I needed cash, within the next 90 days, I know I have money coming in. So I can put whatever emergency on my credit card because it's an emergency. I mean, I have cash to last me 3 months. Okay. That's, most people say you should have emergency funds for 3 to 6 months, right? I have enough cash for 6 months, 3 months. So in the event that I have an emergency, I have a huge tranche of cash coming every 3 months. But that's not that. I mean, I'm going a little bit aside again on what the topic is for today, is how to stay sane. Well, I mean, the reality is you have to enjoy what you're doing. And what I have done is I have put my money in something that I can put it in and forget it. I don't have to watch it because I know exactly how much is coming, except for my stocks, which is only about 20% of my assets. I have a lot in gold, which is doing very well today. Again, I have a lot in gold, and the rest is in term deposits, which are guaranteed. Well, sorry, I don't want to use the word guaranteed, are secure and pretty safe. Nothing, again, I'm not touting anything. All I'm saying is, when you look at the totality of things, this is the best for, in my opinion, and in my experience over the last 3 years, the best. So much to say that I have to go to a tax person. And Darren, thank you so much for hooking me up. I have a meeting with him on Friday afternoon, and this guy gave me a lot of great advice. Sorry, his name escapes me for the moment. Mahesh at Lanka Tax. Yeah. Wow. What a smart kid you got me hooked up with. Very sound advice. Very sound advice. Thank you so much, Darren. Truly appreciate that. Okay. He says to say hello as well. Smart kid. Took everything all the information that I had, and we're going to get together on Friday. We're going to go over the plan and then probably sign an agreement as to, moving forward. He had more knowledge than the other guy I went to. And I think it's because he has international experience. So Darren, good on you, brother. Darren, that's why I tolerate you, because you're freaking intelligent. I may not always agree with you, but you have got this level of intelligence that is just fantastic. And this is what I want from this channel. I want to bring together people who, we may not always agree. We may not be alike. We may be completely different to each other, but we understand the fundamentals of life, which is to be happy. And to be happy you have to live stress-free. And to be stress-free, you have to have good relationships. And to have good relationships, you have to have money. So it all ties in together. And Darren's got it all. I mean, Darren's got a great family. He's got great financial assets. He travels all over the world. Guys living the dream. So good on you, brother. Good on you. How do you do it? Like, how do people do it? Well, I'm a Gen X. Yeah, I'm a Gen X. I was born in '68. I think I'm Gen X. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm not advocating anything, but I don't believe in therapists. I don't believe in guru or meditation or anything like that. But for your personal well-being, you need to speak to someone. I have personally, I developed this thing when I was younger. When I was going through drama in my marriage. And I called it SEPS. SEP, a SEP or SEPs. I would constantly have this thing. It's a SEP. SEP, somebody else's problem. And that kind of drove my mentality. And follow me on this for a second. Just follow me on. We internalize, this is how I thought of it. I'm not a psychologist. Now I studied psychology. I have a master's degree in psychology and a bachelor's degree in sociology. But that doesn't make me a psychologist. And that was 40 years ago, okay? That was 35 years ago I studied that. I barely remember, okay? I barely remember what I had for dinner last night, let alone what I learned in university 35 years ago. But we internalize a lot of guilt, a lot of stress, and that manifests in destructive behavior, alcoholism, addiction, gambling, sexual addiction, violence, self-hurting, self-medication, etc. You know, those are my opinion, those are manifestations of us unable to cope with the mental stress of life. So I've kind of figured it out in my personal way that if I don't internalize it, then it can't affect me. And this is one of the reasons why my ex-wife told me that she wasn't happy in the relationship anymore, is because I was unemotional. I wouldn't react to anything. It was like I was a Vulcan or a robot. And I would base my decisions on facts and not on emotion. I wouldn't react. Now, today, it's much different. I react emotionally because I'm, what's the word? Not conceited. I won't capitulate, or I don't compromise. Compromise is the word. I won't compromise on anything anymore. So when something doesn't go my way, I react because it's my house, my stuff, my things. You don't like it, get out. I'm not going to put up with your crap. So, Shazeen, thank you, brother. All right. Watch the rest of this later. There's only about going to be another 5-10 minutes because I have to go too. All right. But thanks a lot, brother. Be well. Stay safe. Okay. I'll talk to you soon. By the way, I'm going to be in Thailand in November and Philippines, Cebu. I'm going to be there for December, January, February. Okay. So if you're in the neighborhood, let's meet up. Okay. So I learned that internalizing these stresses is what causes stress in our lives, and manifesting that stress relief is what causes people more stress. Overeating, alcohol, addictions, spending, overspending, things like that. Like I'm at the point right now where I'm deciding whether I'm going to spend $2,000 on a condo versus $800 on a condo for 1 month. And the difference being, one is a pool villa where I can just walk out from my living room into the pool, or a nice condo with a beautiful view, but I'm trapped inside of it. I have to go all the way downstairs, and the elevators are not that great, and blah, 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 and I'll get annoyed. Here, I can just walk right out from my living room straight into the pool. And that peace of mind is worth that money, in my opinion. Now I'm going to negotiate with the landlord to see what I can do. But that's probably what's going to happen. Now, on the flip side, the other place I wanted, which was a super luxury place, yeah, I kind of realized, no, that's not going to happen. So that's going to happen. Now, I could save more by not going in November and just wait until February and go in February, but that's 8 months away. And I'm going to lose my mind if I stay here any longer. I wish I could go in October, but that's too much money. I don't want to be here when my brother comes in December, January. I don't want to be here. That's too much family, and that's too much stress. I'm not going to be able to handle it. I saw him last year. I don't need to see him this year. And I don't really see him because, number one, I'm working. Number two, he's traveling. He stays home for like a day or two. I can see him next year. So I'll be gone for that. Then what else? So SEP, somebody else's problem. If I see a drama, I say, well, that's not my problem. I don't need to accept that. That's that person's problem. Let them deal with it. So that's how I used to manage my stress. And it worked out great because I ended up being much happier. Yeah, I mean, I ended up being divorced, which, in retrospect is a good thing. I ended up in Korea, which was the greatest time of my life. I gotta tell you, people ask me how old I am, 18. Because that's when my life started. My life started when I went to Korea. Prior to that, my life was a shit show. I had a decent life, but it was a shit. I was not happy. Not in the least bit happy. I was existing. I worked, I lived, I ate, I slept. But I was not happy. So how I deal with my stress is I get out. I go on vacation. My vacation coming up in 150 days in November is going to be awesome. I can't wait. 1 month in Pattaya with my friends. Anuj is coming. Christmas in Cebu with my friend Tim. And I'm not staying in Cebu. I'm actually staying in Mactan Island. He said to go stay in Mactan Island. He says, don't stay in Cebu. He says, your style, although you're a city guy, you're going to get tempted by going out to the bars and the clubs because you need to get out of the house. And if you're in Mactan Island, you're going to have less of a temptation, and you're just going to go to the ocean, which is right there. So I found a place in Mactan Island, which has pool. Well, all the condos in Cebu have a pool, but I found a place that has a pool and is like a 7-minute motorcycle ride to the ocean. You can actually see the ocean, right? And 5 minutes from Mactan New Town, which is where all the resorts are, which is where I stayed 3 years ago when I went to Cebu for the first time. So I'll have friends there, and Tim has his motorcycle friends. So I'm going to have a family to hang out with and like-minded people. So, and being he's the president and founder, I'll have a level of respect there. And then Lady Sarah's coming in February, and we're going to go to Bohol. And I found this amazing condo in Bohol. And I actually have a line on another place that is like over $2,000 for 2 weeks online. Well, I texted the guy directly, and they were saying it's like $800 if you just book through me. I texted the owner on WhatsApp, and I was like, what? A 2-bedroom oceanside. Yeah, sign me up on Bikini Beach in Bohol. Now, I'll have to rent a scooter because we're going to go to the docks and hire a boat and go to the other islands. But we're there for 14 days. Well, 12 days, because we're going to spend 1 or 2 days in Cebu when she arrives, because she arrives like 1 a.m. So we'll spend the first day and then leave the second day so that she can meet Tim and have dinners and whatever. And then we'll take the boat over on the third day. And then prior to returning home, we have to travel back, which takes a day because you have to take the ferry boat. I mean, it's a speedboat, 2 hours, but still it's the travel day, right? And then come back. So I'm going to get us a luxury beachside hotel and then spend 1 day relaxing before she flies out, and I fly out the next day. So that's how I deal with my stress. I don't manifest addictions or destructive behavior. I don't internalize other people's problems. And if you designate someone's emotion their problem, it makes it so much easier to deal with. That's my advice. Don't deal with other people's emotions. Don't put yourself in a position where you will stress. Okay? Don't spend. I think that is the biggest piece of advice. If I could go back in time and make a sentence saying the simplest thing, if I could go back in time and tell myself like one sentence is don't spend money. Darren, yeah, Jetstar, I didn't hear about that. Check Fits Air, Fits Air. It's cheap. You get to Singapore, and then from Singapore you can take Qantas or whatever, or any other airline. I didn't hear about Jetstar. I mean, Sri Lankan airline just leased leased a new airplane and is on order for 2 more. The new CEO is really cool guy. Like, I'm actually looking at buying some Sri Lankan airline stock. It's very bullish. Not Fits Air, Jetstar. Oh, Qantas is Jetstar. Ah. Wow. Yeah, that's breaking news. That's breaking news. Jetstar is being shut down by Qantas. Wow. End of July. Wow. So Fits Air is another outfit if you want economy. And they do have a business class. Fits Air to Singapore or Malaysia or Kuala Lumpur. Oh, only Jetstar Asia. Yeah, I didn't read the full story. Yeah, so direct flights between Colombo and Kuala Lumpur. So check out that. If you want some help, I can. I mean, I know you can do it, but I kind of have. I kind of like doing the travel thing. So if you want some, you know more because you fly that route. I know the route from Sri Lanka to Southeast Asia. From Southeast Asia to Australia, I have no idea. You know that better. So I'm probably going to suggest that you'll figure it out on your end. So FitzAir had a promotion, 65,000 rupees return from Colombo to Kuala Lumpur, and includes luggage. So FitzAir is normally going to the north, so India and Dubai, but now it's expanding to the east. So yeah, check them out. Anyway, guys, I got to get going. Yeah, I found Momondo is the best aggregator. I start with I turn on my VPN out of, let's say I want to fly to Singapore. I turn on my VPN to Singapore, and then I use incognito, or I use a different browser. Like I'll use Internet Explorer or Safari or Firefox, and I will incognito it, and then I will start with Google Flights, and then I will use the other aggregators to see. But eventually, what I do is I book directly with the airline. I never use a third party. Yeah, Google Flights is good. Yeah, Google Flights is good to find the schedule. Okay? To see the schedule, like what flights are flying at what times. Now, I am very flexible, but in the case of having to coordinate arrival times with Lady Sarah, there are a few websites that does that you put in your location and your friend's location and where you want to meet, and then a few other details, and it'll find both flights that land at the same time. Yeah, direct is the best way to go, but on those distances, you kind of have to like land it. There is no direct flight from Sri Lanka to Cebu. I have to either go to Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, Hong Kong, or Manila. Now, I just won 100,000 flight miles from Singapore Airlines for doing one of their surveys. I won. Now, it's not a big deal, but it is like maybe 50% of my flight if I fly economy, but I don't fly economy, especially on Singapore Airlines. I was planning, if I wasn't planning on going to Pattaya, because I'm going to fly from Colombo to Bangkok on Sri Lankan Airlines business class, and then spend a month there. And then from Bangkok, I'm going to fly to, is it direct? I don't even know if it's direct. I forgot. I don't think it's direct because there's no flights. I have to check my flights again. I'm still too far away. No, there's no direct flight from Bangkok to, there is, but I have to switch airports, and I'm not interested in switching airports. So basically, I'd have to land, okay? Now, it's not a big deal on my first leg because I'm landing in Bangkok and then getting out of the airport. It's my return. On my return, I would land at DMK, which is Dong Mueang Airport. It's a smaller airport. And then I would have to go to Bangkok Airport, Suvarnabhumi Airport, and get on my flight. So which means I would have to enter the country technically, which is just a pain in the butt. So for a couple hour layover in Manila, I'm just going to take Cebu Air, which fits my schedule. maybe I'll look at different options. Maybe I won't fly to Bangkok on the way back. Maybe I'll fly through Kuala Lumpur or something like that, because I'll see what the prices are. Still a long way. Yeah, that's what I can do today. I can search out those. Anyways, I got to get going. I got to get to work. But Darren, thanks again, brother. Always love you. Okay, always love you. Always love that we can hang out and talk. Everyone else who is watching and liking and sharing and commenting, thank you so much. Shazeen, brother, please take care of yourself. Happy Poya Day. I want to thank everybody who's on top of themselves. And please take care of yourself, okay? Take care of each other. And remember, learn to live life. Don't let life live you. I'm Sri Lankan Sammy, retired with mom and dad. We will see you all on the other side.